introduce you, right? Buenos días, un saludo a la comunidad de la Universidad Nacional de Colombia, un saludo especial de la Dirección de Relaciones Exteriores, que organiza esta serie de eventos con el fin de acercar a nuestra comunidad académica a las oportunidades de cooperación con distintas entidades de Colombia y del mundo entero. Como de costumbre, nosotros transmitimos estos eventos a través de nuestros canales, de nuestras redes sociales. En este momento estamos transmitiendo a través de YouTube y de Facebook los canales de la DRE. Nos complace enormemente contar hoy con la participación de la Universidad de McGill en Canadá con un tema muy especial, las becas McCall MacBain que generosamente ofrece la Universidad de McGill. En esta ocasión contamos con Julia Lowe, quien es la directora de Marketing y Comunicaciones de las becas McCall MacBain. Tuvimos la ocasión de reunirnos con su equipo el año pasado y explorar acerca de estas oportunidades que tenemos para nuestra comunidad. Julia, I would like to thank you once more for accepting the invitation to take part in these events. As we told you some time ago, we organize these events during the year. So the idea is to let our community learn about the many possibilities we have to network with different institutions in Colombia and all over the world. We really appreciate your commitment and your constant willingness to help us clarify doubts we have in terms of possibilities for our community, particularly for our students, to take part in scholarships. Julia is our partner. She's in charge of the Marketing and Communications Office of the McCall MacBain scholarships at McGill University in Canada. So having said that, welcome, Julia, and we are really looking forward to learning about the possibilities, the requirements, and we will take note of the questions and comments that the members of our community may have. And at the end of your presentation, we will let you know about the questions. If some of the questions are answered during the presentation, we will omit them. But nevertheless, the idea is that we always have the recordings of these presentations in our website. Welcome, Julia, and the floor is yours.
Muchas gracias. Estoy muy feliz de poder hablar con ustedes y de hablar de este nuevo programa de becas. My Spanish is not very good, so I will do this presentation in English, but I do want to say we're very excited to see wonderful candidates for the scholarship from UNAL and looking forward to hearing your questions. So as I mentioned, new scholarship program, largest donation in Canadian history, an initiative of the McCall MacBain Foundation, which supports many scholarship programs around the world. Partnering with McGill University, which is one of Canada's top research institutions, very well known for its academic reputation, the research, also its international engagement and diverse student population. Just a few more photos of what McGill is like. 2 different campuses, 10,000 graduate students, 38% of which are international, coming from over 100 different countries. Located in Montreal, which is consistently ranked the best student city in the Americas, known for its affordability, creativity, quality of life, employability, and more. Just a few photos of what Montreal is like, a very unique blend of North American and European culture. And then in terms
please leave the presentation mode so that you can move the presentation and we can see the pictures, right? Because we are still with the first slide. Today's, yes, now it is moving now.
Okay. So shall I go through the slides again?
Yes, again.
Okay.
Next one. Okay, next one, go on. Yes,
All right.
now it's moving. Yes, perfect.
Okay. Thank you for your patience, everyone. So let me start off. Third time's the charm, right? So this is a new scholarship. Initiated by the McCall MacBain Foundation, which is a supporter of many different scholarship programs around the world. Partnering with McGill University, which is one of Canada's top research institutions, very well known in terms of its academic reputation, international engagement, diversity, and more. Just a few photos of what McGill is like. 10,000 graduate students, many of which are international. Located in beautiful Montreal, one of the best student cities in the Americas. And just a little bit of what Montreal looks like. I highly recommend visiting and seeing what Montreal is like. It's very well known and highly ranked by students in terms of all of the things that I mentioned. This scholarship, Canada's first comprehensive leadership-based scholarships at the master's and professional level. Really about joining a community of people who aspire to leadership, who want to bring about positive change. This is a scholarship that will help you connect with mentors and coaches, help you work on your leadership skills, and it does provide full funding for your next degree. Each of our scholars gets matched with a mentor based on your interests, goals, and areas for growth. Scholars also get connected with coaches, as well as a senior faculty member, community advisors, people who will help support and guide you along the way. There is a leadership development program as part of the scholarship, so our scholars come together every 2 weeks to look at different leadership challenges through case studies, often with guest speakers who share their own experiences. I've listed some of the topics that we've discussed in the past year, though they may vary based on the interests of the incoming cohort. In terms of the scholarship funding, the scholarship covers all of the tuition and fees for the full duration of an eligible program. Typically, a master's program in Canada is about 2 years, though it can vary in length. Some of the programs that we cover are 1 year, some of them are 3 or more. There is also a living stipend of 2,000 Canadian dollars per month during academic terms. So in Montreal, that's enough to cover your rent and basic living expenses so that you can focus on your studies and on making the most of this scholarship experience. At the start of the program, there's a relocation grant to assist you with your move to Montreal. This is a scholarship that is open to all different kinds of disciplines. It funds a full-time master's or professional program at McGill, and this upcoming application is for primarily September 2023 admission. There are a few eligible programs that start earlier in the summer from May to August. Over 150 different master's programs are covered across the 10 faculties, and 3 professional programs, which are law, dentistry, and medicine. Just to give you a sense of the different programs that are eligible, I can't list 150 different programs here, but most of these are departments that offer eligible master's programs. So as you can see, everything from art history to dentistry, civil engineering, business, music, computer science, and more. It is for master's and professional degrees, so it does not cover things like PhDs, certificates. I've listed a couple of other exceptions in the bottom right corner, which we can cover in the Q&A. In terms of the number of scholarships, this is actually the first time that we are accepting international student applications, and we very much look forward to welcoming our first global cohort in September of 2023. In the first 2 years, we were only accepting Canadian applications, and we will continue to support the same number of Canadian scholars, so 20 per year, receiving that full funding, mentorship, and leadership development that we were discussing earlier. On top of that, we are adding 10 international spots for a total expanded cohort of 30 scholars. In addition to that, we offer partial scholarships. So depending on where you advance to in our selection process, for example, if you are participating in our final interviews, you are eligible either for the full scholarship or a finalist award of $20,000, which is enough to cover more than a year's worth of master's studies. The requirements for the scholarship, you do need to meet the minimum degree and language requirements for McGill Master's Program admission. This information you can find on the McGill graduate applicants website. And I'll take a moment just to put this into the chat so you can take a look to make sure that you see the requirements. I'm not sure that I can add a comment here, but I'll make sure that it's available afterwards. So you will need to meet the minimum requirements for master's program admission. Typically, this is a bachelor's degree and the minimum TOEFL or IELTS language tests. You will also need to meet the requirements of any programs that you plan to apply to at McGill. More than that, though, we are looking for people who are excited about being part of this leadership community. And so what we look for are, positive character traits like empathy, integrity, and perseverance. We look for community engagement. This can look like many different things. It could be your involvement in student societies. It could be your involvement in, it could be your volunteer work, entrepreneurial projects, your involvement in sports teams or creative pursuits. Many different ways to demonstrate your involvement in different communities, and excited to see that many different ways of demonstrating that. Essentially, how you've been involved in trying to make a positive difference. We are also looking for leadership potential. So your ability to mobilize a team to work towards a common goal. Again, this can be demonstrated in many different examples. So you'll want to think about where have you been spending your time? What are you proud of accomplishing? What are those meaningful experiences that you've had? And we'll be asking you to share that in your application. Entrepreneurial spirit. So that doesn't mean you have to be interested in business, but it's this idea of taking initiative and coming up with creative solutions to unmet needs. And the last one is academic strength and intellectual curiosity. So you will need to present a competitive profile for McGill program admission. Again, the McGill graduate applicants website is a great starting point to understand the different programs that are available, what the admission requirements are, and to make sure that you meet and exceed those requirements. We also look for curiosity. So your ability to or your interest in being part of this community of scholars from across different faculties and disciplines, coming from all over the world, and your excitement for that, and willingness to engage with diverse perspectives. In terms of the application, it will be open starting June 1st. It's an online application that will be available on our website, mccallmacbainscholars.org. We will ask you questions about your goals and how graduate studies will help you reach them. You'll be asked to list out different experiences, activities in the community, on campus, at work. We will ask you to submit unofficial transcripts, as well as a one-page resume. And there are 2 online reference forms that must be completed at the same time. So the first is an academic reference. This is typically written by a professor. And the second one is a community reference. So that is often, it could be any number of people. It could be somebody at work or school. who could talk about your community involvement. It could be a sports coach, a mentor. Feel free to brainstorm different kinds of people, as long as you feel like they know your community work. For both of these references, they must be completed directly by that individual, and they cannot be a family member, fellow student, or friend. One other thing I want to discuss is the application timeline for this scholarship. And so this scholarship, because it is a major scholarship, it is due very early. So as you know, we've been discussing September 2023 admission. The McCall MacBain scholarship application is actually due August 25th. Again, very early, August 25th of 2022. So it's more than a year before you would want to start at McGill. So you'll have a couple of months this summer to open the application, make sure you understand, start to fill it out, make sure you have everything together and submitted by August 25th, including both of those references. What happens after that, in between the application deadline and regional interviews, is that for current students and recent graduates, there is what we call a university endorsement. So we are very excited to partner with UNAL to promote the scholarship and have invited the university to endorse multiple candidates for this opportunity. So this is actually a great opportunity to be considered in this first year of global admissions. Once you have completed your application, it will go to the university for that endorsement decision, and then it will go to our selection committees who will read your application and shortlist candidates for regional interviews. Those regional interviews will take place online in October, followed by final interviews in March of 2023. The final interviews will take place in Montreal at McGill. We will cover your travel and accommodations to participate in final interviews. And so that's a great way to see Montreal, see McGill, get to know some other fantastic students and alumni from around the world, and of course, participate in the selection interviews. After the final interviews, we will select our class of 30 scholars. As I mentioned, there's a number of other partial scholarships that are available as well, and those will be granted. And then our scholars will begin their classes in September of 2023. Last part here is that there is a separate application to McGill. So most people apply to the scholarship first because our deadline is August 25th. And then you will need to apply to the programs that you're interested in at McGill University. Typically, those graduate admissions will begin in mid-September, though it will vary based on the program. And I'd encourage you to go to the McGill website to check what those deadlines are. If you're coming to our final interviews in March, we will ask you to submit the program applications to McGill in December at the latest. I do have a video, but I'm not sure that it will will play, just given what we've been experiencing. So that will be that is the end of the formal presentation. I do want to thank everyone who is here and has been learning about this opportunity. This is our very first year of global admissions, and so we are really excited to be partnering with UNAL and to encourage you to consider this program. If you are interested in applying, I would encourage you to visit our website, mccallmacbainscholars.org, and to sign up for an email reminder. The applications will be opening June 1st, and so if you are on our list, you will get an email reminder with a link to the online form. Or you can just check back in June, and the application will be available on our website.
Thank you, Julia, for the information. This is very precise, and I think that we can then check things very carefully, and special interest for our students, right?
Absolutely.
We
I'll
have
stop sharing the presentation. Is that okay?
pardon me again?
Oh, should I stop sharing the presentation?
No, perhaps if you want to remark some things, because we have a couple of questions, and if you want to share later on the video, that will be fine, right?
That
So
sounds great.
once more, thank you, Julia, for the information and for the encouragement to take part in this possibility, right? We have some questions from our students in particular, and the first one, so you clarified that these scholarships are not for PhD students, am I right?
That's correct.
That's only for MA students, master degrees.
It is for master's degrees, and then there are 3 professional, what we call professional programs, which are law, dentistry, and medicine.
Right, which are called here in Colombia especializaciones, right?
Excellent.
That we have in law and medicine as well. So especializaciones, that's a possibility, or yes?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's one of the clarifications that we have here. Now, you mentioned that students who want to apply have to demonstrate proficiency in the language. Okay, so could you please expand a little bit on the language requirements?
Absolutely. And if I can, I'm just going to put a URL that I'd like to share with the group, mcgill.ca/gradapplicants/international. This is a great site to check as in terms of the requirements for master's program admission. The international page will outline the different requirements for language tests. So, for example, you can take the TOEFL, and there's a minimum requirement outlined on the website, as or the IELTS.
So no time to, I would say, like to advance in the language. You have to study that beforehand in order to apply.
Yes, McGill is an English language institution, so everyone should have higher intermediate or advanced proficiency in English to be considered for admission, both for the university and for the scholarship.
Thank you, thank you. So we really want to encourage our students to take advantage of the many possibilities we offer here at the university, so that you prepare things ahead and get ready also for the English examinations, right? So you accept IELTS or TOEFL? Both of
That's
them.
correct.
Both of them are allowed, am I right?
Yes. And so for the TOEFL, the internet-based test, it's an 86 overall, no less than 20 in each of the 4 component scores. And for the IELTS, the International English Language Testing System, a band score of 6.5 or greater in the academic module.
Right, perfect. So bearing in mind that we can have IELTS or TOEFL. Entonces, para los estudiantes pueden presentar la prueba de TOEFL o la de IELTS y pueden mirar los detalles de requerimientos mínimos en la convocatoria. So I'm just emphasizing on the details that they can read, okay, with the information at the website as well, right? Thank you. So we have another question in connection to the coverage in terms of how long, okay, so 1 year, 2 years, and the kind of allowance that is given to the students who get the scholarships.
Absolutely. So the scholarship covers the full normal duration of an eligible program. Typically, master's programs are 2 years in duration. So most of the programs that we cover are 2 years, and it covers the entire duration of that program. There are some programs that are shorter. So for example, the Master in Public Policy or Master of Management programs are 1 year. And there are some programs that are longer. So law or medicine could be 3.5 or 4 years. The living stipend of 2,000 Canadian dollars per month covers all of the academic terms for the full duration of the program.
Thank you. So we can see that this is a great opportunity for our students who sometimes, though they rank very high in national and international tests, do not have the possibility to have access to postgraduate programs due to economical restrictions. So this would be a very good opportunity for our students. We have another question, and it's connected to the situation of some of our students. In our case, we have students who finish their BEd program, and immediately, because of their scores, they are admitted in a master's degree. So, do they have a chance to apply for this? If they have already started an MA at Universidad Nacional de Colombia, do they have a possibility of applying? And then if they get the grant, they go to Canada and start the MA there. Is
Absolutely.
that
So the minimum requirement is a bachelor's degree. However, you can have multiple degrees. If you are finishing a master's degree at UNAL and want to pursue another master's degree at McGill, this is a great opportunity for you.
That's very good news for our students, right? Or in case some students have started the MA here and just want to carry on with one in Canada, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a key question for our community, right? For our students in the MA programs, because something that we mentioned when we first talked about this possibility is that our university has a very high, a high number of programs, MA programs, and doctoral programs, okay? We got like the highest number in the country. So that would be a very good opportunity for our students. We also have another question in terms of opportunities for students or with people, for people with disabilities. What kind of, we say like possibilities do they have to apply for these scholarships?
Absolutely. We do welcome individual applicants of many different kinds of experiences, backgrounds, different kinds of circumstances, including applicants with disabilities or different abilities. So this would be, so McGill University does have an office with supports for students who identify as having disabilities, and that would certainly be a part of the process. In general, our application is designed to allow you to share your unique experiences, your contributions, what you're proud of. And so there's a lot of opportunity to share, and we're really excited to see a diverse range of applicants apply.
Thank you. This is very important for us because this is a very big concern for our university, okay, to really look for opportunities for all kinds of populations that we have, including, okay, students with disabilities. Thank you for this remark. We have another question in terms of life, like social life, and something that is very much needed when you study okay, overseas, right?
Yes.
So what kind of organizations or clubs or societies do you have at McGill University for foreign students?
Absolutely, and I agree. It's very important, and one of the things that we value a lot. So, you know, as I mentioned, Montreal is known as, you know, #1 student city and one of the best in the world because of its very large student population. It's very student friendly, and there's lots of activities both on campus and in the city. So there's a lot of different things to do and to explore. Many different student societies. So the Postgraduate Student Society is the one that oversees all graduate student activities, and there are many student associations that are that includes, including the International Students Association, many different cultural groups as well, and so there's a lot to do. I would also mention for those who are excited about this, this scholarship, you'll be spending a lot of time with your fellow scholars. And I know from our first class of Canadian scholars, they've become very good friends with one another, you know, really enjoying each other's company and creating those networks and relationships. And so part of that social life will also be connecting with peers who were also selected for their energy and drive and passion for making a positive difference in the world.
That's great. That's great. We really, this is a very important aspect, okay, to be a successful student, okay, when you are away from home. Thank you. We have some students who have asked about the cost, okay, to travel or to live in Canada. You mentioned that the scholarship covers everything, which is just great, okay, because you have travel and some sort of stipend for accommodation and for living expenses.
It does cover, the scholarship covers, it's a comprehensive scholarship, so it's all of that funding. I can't guarantee that it'll cover all of your expenses, but it is enough to live on and to focus on your studies and making the most of your experience. So $2,000 per month, a relocation grant at the start of the program, all of the tuition and fees and more.
Right. So one of our students is asking about traveling, okay? Are tickets covered by the scholarship, or do students have to pay for them?
So that if you're invited to final interviews for the scholarship, we cover travel and accommodations to participate in those final interviews. So that travel cost is covered. At the start of the program, when you move to Canada, there is a relocation grant. I believe it's $2,000, which again will cover travel to come to Canada for the start of the scholarship. Any other travel expenses would be part of the $2,000 per month living stipend.
That's great. That's great for our students as well. Now, in terms of possibilities to work there, are students allowed to work like part-time, for example, or to do some sort of assistance or some sort of work so that they get like some expenses? Because we know that when we go to other places, we want to save some money for extra traveling or extra expenses, right?
Of course, and work is a great learning experience as well. And so our scholars can, this is intended for full-time study, but scholars can work up to 15 hours per week. Some of our current scholars are working as teaching assistants at the university, for example. I also want to mention, this is general to, generally for studying in Canada. The government of Canada has a post-graduation work permit for international students at Canadian universities. And so I know that's a very attractive option. I hear that all the time. That's a federal study work permit where you can extend your time a little bit and work after you graduate.
Thank you. So this is again good news for our students, because we know that most of our applicants, okay, do have, like, for example, jobs here and they have to quit and they have some sort of personal duties, okay? And so that's great. And also gaining experience if you have the chance to work at the university. That's a very good opportunity. We also have a question from Daniela Ramirez, who wants to thank you for the information, and she would like to know if you could expand. She would like to ask you to expand a little bit on the community reference.
Absolutely. And so on our website, on the resources page, you will see the questions that will be asked of your references. The community reference, it should be filled out by somebody who knows your community involvement. So it could be somebody at work or school or somewhere where you volunteer, a sports coach, a mentor, these are just examples of people who might know your community involvement. Essentially, they'll be asked to tell us a little bit about you, your strengths, areas for growth, and all of that needs to be filled out by the application deadline.
All right. So this is, and I would like to mention this, okay, in Spanish. Entonces, los estudiantes que han estado como voluntarios en clubes, que han estado en asociaciones, como helpers en conferencias. If you've been a helper at a conference, for example, you've been doing voluntary work, that's another possibility for them to include that, okay, this information as part of the application form. Yes?
Absolutely.
Right, thank you. So I think that we have covered most of the questions. Okay, some of the other aspects were mentioned in your presentation, right? So I wonder if you would like to remark particular aspects, so that, like, tips that our students should bear in mind in order to be successful when applying for a scholarship at McGill.
Absolutely. So we are really excited to see candidates from UNAL. This is our first year of global admission. So, we're really, I think this is a perfect time to consider this and to take a chance. I think in general, applying for major scholarships like this does take work. So my general advice would be to check out our website in June. Open the application just even to see the questions. You don't have to fill it out all in one go, but you can start to think about it. It's a scholarship that requires personal reflection and some effort in terms of listing out the different things that you're involved with, articulating your goals and your current path. So there is a bit of writing and communicating and reflecting that's involved in applying for this kind of scholarship, but I do think it's a valuable experience. It's a really good kind of opportunity for that, and will help prepare for graduate school admissions. And so I'm confident that many of the people here have have what we're looking for in terms of that kind of community involvement, the entrepreneurial spirit, the leadership potential. Don't be shy. Let us know, how you've been trying to make a positive difference in your community, and we look forward to seeing that in your application.
Thank you so much, Julia. I really appreciate, and on behalf of our Universidad Nacional de Colombia, we are very grateful because, you have been very generous, okay, answering our questions, not only in this webinar, but also in previous meetings and communication by email. We are very much concerned about finding opportunities for our students, okay, to pursue further studies, right? And we think that having these possibilities in Canada, okay, is just great to open doors to other kinds of scenarios for higher education. And I just want to tell our students that we will include information about these scholarships in our bulletins, in our newsletters. We publish them every week. And so we will remind you when this call for applicants is open in June, as Julia has mentioned. A final recommendation is to get familiar with the requirements, read very carefully, as Julia has mentioned, read the requirements very carefully, and prepare things ahead. So thank you very much, Julia, and we are looking forward to the opening of this call for applicants, and we will be willing to encouraging our students to take part in this first cohort.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure. We are so excited. Apologies for the technical difficulties at the start, but we look forward to hearing from all of you. So thank you again.
No problem. I think that we have been very lucky to have the opportunity to answer questions and to get familiar with the details of the scholarships. Quiero agradecerles a todos los asistentes y de nuevo invitarlos a que consulten este video, escuchen nuevamente la presentación que nos ha hecho Julia sobre las becas, que revisen el sitio web donde encuentran los detalles para la convocatoria, y de nuevo la invitación es a preparar los documentos muy anticipadamente, con todo el cuidado, y a que tengamos en cuenta que el requisito de lengua inglesa es indispensable para poder tener posibilidades de obtener esta beca. De nuevo agradecemos el interés en las jornadas de internacionalización organizadas por la Dirección de Relaciones Exteriores. Los invitamos a continuar participando en los eventos que programamos semanalmente para beneficio de nuestra comunidad universitaria. Un buen día para todos. Thank you, Julia. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.